August 10th, 2019, I am Hannah Cross and I am interviewing Eliot Tucker at the Newkirk Senior Citizen Center in Newkirk, Oklahoma. I am a member of the Newkirk 4-H Go-Getters, and this is for the Oklahoma Military Hall of Fame project. What motivated you to join the military?
Let's see, wow, that's a tough one. Well, you know, the price of freedom is not free. I've always been very patriotic on this. It takes young men and young women to sign up to fight for freedom, to be there to protect it whenever it's needed. I think that was probably my most getting go-getter. I was raised just thinking, I'm going in the military, this is what I'm going to do for my life, and I had that going.
Tell me a little about your time in basic training.
Oh, wow. I had this crazy drill sergeant. Of course, everybody had a crazy drill sergeant. His name was Drill Sergeant Harvey. He had this beat-up pickup truck that we had to salute every time we walked by it. He said it was his urban camouflage so that we would steal it. But even after I graduated from basic and I'm hanging out with my wife and I walked by his truck and I didn't salute it, he still decided he was going to make me do push-ups because I didn't salute his truck when I walked by it. He was a good guy, yeah. And he gave me the best advice that you could ever have while you're in the military. It only sucks while you're doing it. So that's pretty good advice.
Were you deployed? If so, where and for what?
I was deployed to Iraq. I was in Baghdad. I was right across the Tigris River from Sadr City. My job over there, I was personal security for the Vice President of Iraq.
What was the most demanding part about your deployment?
Most demanding part about my deployment. Keeping safe, keeping everybody around you safe, making it back home.
Where did you serve the majority of time in service?
Wow. See, I was probably a lot at Fort Hood, Texas, but I spent quite a bit of time over in Korea also.
What rank are you most proud to have earned and why?
I say probably specialist, because you weren't quite the boss, you weren't even middle management, but you were high enough that you didn't get picked for every job that came out. Kind of middleman.
Which medals or citations are you most honored to have received and why?
Well, I'd probably go with my combat action badge, because even if you got deployed over there, you didn't get that unless you were actually confronted with the enemy. So, not proud to have it, but just honored that I was able to do what I was supposed to do when I needed to.
Tell me about some of the special people you met.
Wow. A lot of people I was with, deployed with, they were all special. I met a few celebrities. I worked for some high-ranking people. I used to work for some generals and stuff like that. So I met the Vice President of Iraq a few hundred times, but he didn't like us too much, but he needed us.
What was the best and worst military food you were served and why?
Wow. Best and worst. Well, I can go with the best. When I was stationed at Fort Hood, the cooks that worked at our DFAC were their competition cooks. So when it came to Thanksgiving and Christmas meals, you're talking hands down the best thing you've ever had in your entire life. My worst meal was at basic training. We was talking about Drill Sergeant Harvey, and one day he said, we're going to have Drill Sergeant meals. He's like, you look like you want to eat cottage cheese and jalapenos, so that's what I had for dinner that day.
Tell me a funny story you experienced that could only happen in the military.
Okay. A funny story that could only happen in the military. Well, he was in Iraq, and they had this suspicious person they thought was making bombs, and they were interrogating. They had the interrogators were inside interrogating them, and they came out to me and said, I need you just to get big and mean and just run in there and just start yelling. And I didn't know what it was all about, and they're like, so I went up there and I kicked in the door and I ran in, but the doors there are a little lower, so I hit my head and knocked myself out. And they were wanting me to go in there and just be mean and ugly to them because they told me they got this big guy outside that will eat your children if you don't tell us where these bombs are being made at. So I went in there and knocked myself out.
How does your military experience affect your life today?
It's every part of my life. My family's used to me being a retired veteran. I do disaster relief with the veteran organization. Like right now, I'm down in Florida rebuilding houses from Irma. I've been down there for almost a year. So deploy all over the United States. I haven't done any international operations with them, but they go international and stuff like that. But I go and I help people in their worst days when the disaster hits. But now I've been down there for a year rebuilding their homes, so I get to be with them on their best day when I return the homes to them.
Have you kept in contact with anyone with whom you served?
Quite a bit. We talk quite a bit. Thank Zuckerberg for Facebook, because that's the only way I keep in contact with anybody. So quite a few of them on Facebook we talk. Never really met up face to face with each other again, but we're planning it. We plan it all the time, and just nothing falls through.
Do you have any other stories you would like to share?
It only sucks while you're doing it. That's pretty much it. It always sucks while you're doing it.
And what time did you serve?
From 99 to 14.
Wow.
I would hit 20 years yesterday. Was the first day I went. 20 years ago yesterday was the day I went to basic training.
Wow. Well, thank you for letting me interview you.
You betcha. Thank you for being so nice and courteous and wanting to do this.
Well, thank you for your service.
Oh, it's my honor.
What did you do in Korea?
I worked for General Woods. I worked in the G3 office, which is the movement of troops and stuff. And I was the communications. I did radio communications was my job, and I'm military. So I was just his personal radio guy.
And what branch of the military were you in?
Army.
Were you married when you first went to basic training and all that?
Yeah, I was married, had a kid and everything. Yeah, so.
How was that on your family?
Unique. They spent a lot of times with me when I was deployed somewhere, like when we was down in Texas or something like that, but majority of the times they stayed here in Newkirk, and I just come and visit. A lot of times I'd go places they couldn't go, or I'd be someplace, like I'd be down at Fort Hood, Texas, and I spent most of my time in the field. Like we were down there, and we spent 9 months out of a year we were out in the field, stateside. So it really sucked.
So do you live in Florida now?
I live in Florida right now. My family moved back. Actually, I got the U-Haul hooked up to the truck. We just moved back yesterday, so they can start school back up. But I'm moving back in the middle of September. My contract ends that I'm doing down there, so I'll be back in Oklahoma, back in the creek.
Thank you.
Yeah, you betcha.